Good evening, Internet. My name is Lauren Severe. Welcome to my channel. Today is going to be a bonus video, I guess, because AuthorTube has spoken and I listened. So at least 3 people that I know of, other AuthorTubers, have tagged me in this tag, this writing tag, what do you struggle with as a writer tag, and the only question is that you have to talk about what you struggle with as a writer. Now, I am very flattered that 3 of my peers have tagged me in this video, and at the same time, I'm kind of wondering if they just really wanted to see a feature-length film of me talking or not, because that's pretty much why I have avoided doing this. If any of you out there on the internet have somehow been fooled into thinking that I am anything less than the hottest and messiest of hot messes, then nominate me for an Emmy, because dang, that's some good acting. So yeah, this video is gonna be probably very long and very rambly. It'd be really cool if you liked and subscribed. I'm gonna just say that now because if you make it to the end, well, you should win a prize, frankly. Anyway, so tonight I am going to talk to all of you about what I struggle with as a writer. And because there were so many things, I had to write a list. And then when I looked at that list, I thought, well, let me try and narrow this down as much as possible for the audience. So I boiled it down to 10 things. I don't know how, but I did with the help of my husband. I had to get him to help me. So 10 things. Let's jump right in so that you are not watching me talk for 90 minutes. Yeah. Anyway, so first thing is let's just start with the hardest thing, right? Time management. So I don't know if you guys know this about me or not, but I have a full-time job which requires me to travel. I work in the medical field. I work in cardiology, and I travel to satellite and outreach clinics all over the state and work with different doctors. So that takes up a lot of my time, working a full-time job and also traveling for work. My husband is currently disabled. That's a fun fact. He's not at work. He is actually, we met with the surgeon recently, and he will be going to get his second hip replacement in 4 years on the 9th of August. And so that is coming up here shortly. So my husband is currently disabled. Full-time job with travel. I have an 11-month-old baby who now I'm pretty much the primary caretaker of. Just because, again, my husband is disabled, so he can't really help me a lot. Which is very frustrating, I think, for everyone involved. But yeah, so have a baby, I'm a mom, and I'm going to a writing competition. It is currently Saturday at like 8:28 p.m. and I'm going Tuesday morning. It's flying to Boston. So that's happening, like, now. So all of these things mean time is precious. Actually, earlier this year, whenever the writing competition stuff started, really just all the deadlines started looming and all of that, I had to kind of tell my family, like, hey, social engagements, they're going to be on hold until we can kind of take care of this and stuff. And it was literally the only way that I coped. So, yeah. So, time. I have no time. That is number one. Number one writer, what I struggle with as a writer problem. Number 2, I have ADHD, and I'm unmedicated, so that's a struggle. Another fun fact about Lauren, if you didn't know, I was diagnosed with ADHD, pretty severe ADHD actually, when I was 4 years old. I have been on all kinds of medicine. I've been on, stimulants and non-stimulants. I've been on Ritalin, even the old formula that like used to give kids Tourette's. When I was in kindergarten, my mom used to like put a pill in Little Debbie cakes. Like, you hide like heartworm pills for dogs, like in and hot dogs, so they'll eat it. Like, my mom did that to me as a child with Ritalin, which was it's a funny story, I think, now. But yeah, so I tried medicine for many, many years. It didn't work out for me. So I'm unmedicated, and I have pretty severe ADHD. And I'm actually thinking, when I was like sort of outlining a little bit for this video, I was thinking that I would do a video about coping mechanisms that I've had to come up with to actually function as a writer, and in my professional life and my personal life and everything else, to sort of cope with my ADHD. And so I thought that might be a benefit to some of you out there who maybe struggle with the same things. And if you would like to see a video on the coping mechanisms that I've come up with to combat my ADHD without medicine, then tell me about it in the comments below. That'd be really cool. So that was number 2, things that I struggle with. Number 3, the third struggle that I have as a writer is imposter syndrome. I feel like this one is going to come up on a lot of people who do this tags list. For me, my imposter syndrome got me pretty hard, and that's why I felt like it made the top 10 list of all my crazy neuroses that make me struggle as a writer. But yeah, so this one got me pretty good because, and I talk about this in a lot of my videos too, me and my best friend wrote for a long time together, about 10 years, and, fan fiction and whatever, just nonsensical stuff. We wrote our first novel together. It was a young adult dystopian novel, and that actually started gaining a little bit of interest. That project was really, really cool. I loved it a lot, but our friendship, we grew apart, and our friendship ended, and so that project ended. Well, after the aftermath of like writing with someone for 10 years, but never having a foundation of doing it on your own, I had a really bad case of imposter syndrome. So basically I had this voice in the back of my head like telling me, well, you can't do this without her. Like, you've never done it without her. You've never finished a book without her. You don't have any good ideas without her. You have to bounce them off of her. And so like doing it on my own was a huge hurdle that I'm actually really proud that I overcame with Songs of Autumn. It's part of why this project is really, really special to me, is because I proved to myself that I could do it, and I was good enough on my own, and, I could stand on my own writing and on my own merit, and so that was something that I was really proud of, but I did struggle with that, and I still do struggle with that at times. So, yeah. I have imposter syndrome really bad, and I think that comes from sort of my background and the fact that I had like a writing partner for a really long time, and trying to write without a writing partner, I think made my imposter syndrome, I think it just exacerbated it a little bit, honestly, because I feel like it was kind of always there. But yeah, so that was a huge struggle for me, was trying to overcome imposter syndrome after that whole like situation to even get the first draft of songs written. So that was number 3. Number 4, stress management. So this year has been interesting, again, with deadlines and everything else. I normally put a lot of pressure and stress on myself. I normally actually work better under pressure. That is normally where I thrive, because my talents are really like prioritizing, multitasking, things like that. I can do 10 things at once, and that's easier for me than to just do like the one thing. So normally I thrive under pressure, but I really started feeling the strain this past year with the writing competition, trying to get songs done, everything going on in my personal life and my professional life and my family life and all of that. And I found that I had a real struggle this year managing my stress. I did at one point give myself a stress-induced ulcer. Had to go to the ER. It was not fun. And I also gave myself 2 panic attacks. And yeah, I've never had a panic attack before this year. And I gave myself 2 of them. Which, funny enough, the next struggle that I struggle with as a writer, number 5, is anxiety. So this, again, has been more prevalent this year than, before, but I have never really pushed myself as hard as I have been this year into trying to make all of these things happen. Thank goodness I do work in cardiology, so when I gave myself these panic attacks, I had a good foundation of knowledge and people in the field to reassure me that I was not, in fact, going to die, because I don't know if any of you have had a panic attack, but I thought I was going to die. Like, yep, thought I was gonna die. Pretty sure that I was gonna die. And when I didn't, I was very thankful and very surprised. So that was not fun. So that was a struggle. That was struggle number 5 on this crazy struggle bus. We are only halfway there, you guys. Yeah. Bet you didn't expect that all these neuroses were hiding in here somewhere. Actually, I'm pretty sure none of you were surprised. Anyway, number 6, physical effects of depression. Number 6. So I do have issues with depression. I have a lot of, with my ADHD and everything, I have a lot of coping mechanisms, even with my depression. I don't feel that I'm always depressed. I feel like sometimes it hits me harder, and when I'm dealing with a lot of stress and stuff like I have been this year, the physical effects of depression, not necessarily like the emotional feeling of depression, but the physical effects of depression have been incredibly hard, mostly and more specifically the lack of energy. There are days where it is really hard for me to get out of bed and to get going, and I have to kind of talk to myself to okay, you have to get up. Okay, now you have to do these things. Okay, now this is the next step. And I have to sort of talk myself through stuff to keep myself motivated, because the lack of energy, because of the physical effects of depression, really has been hard on me this year. And again, I think a lot of this has been exacerbated by the stress of just everything that I've been trying to accomplish and pushing myself so hard. So a lot of these things tie in together, which is super fun whenever they combine together to make a crazy neuroses monster, right? That's just so fun. Anyway, number 7 is, let's see, taking criticism. So, taking criticism. I'm okay at it. Sometimes. So, I have a problem letting go. I have this perfectionist problem that I think comes from overcorrecting from the ADHD and everything. When I get from the drafting stage into the editing phase, I never want to let go of a book. And I never think it's good enough, and I have a problem accepting criticism because I never think that the project is finished. And I know that at a certain point you just kind of have to bite the bullet and let it fly out there into the universe. And I have a problem with that. So I have a problem with with knowing when something is at the critiquing stage to be able to effectively take constructive criticism. But I'm aware of this problem, and so because I am aware of it, I normally, I'll have a gut reaction to somebody's criticism, but I normally give myself a little time and, sleep on it, and then I kind of look over it again, and then I'm this wasn't so bad. Maybe I was being sensitive and second-guessing myself, and just, y'all just don't even know. You just don't even know. Anyway, number 8. Oh, my friend is texting me. Actually, my authortuber friend is texting me. Number 8, let's try to get through here. OCD tendencies, mainly editing while drafting. So this is a big problem for me, and it's, I think, one of the reasons that I had issues finishing a first draft, because I did try a couple of times to write solo before my co-authorship ended, and I could never really finish. And I think part of that was There's sort of this classic overcorrection whenever you have all these sort of chaotic thoughts and with ADHD and you're not medicated. My way to tame the chaos anyway, it was one of the coping mechanisms that I have is like this classic overcorrection of like being super detailed and organized about everything. And prioritizing and multitasking. And if I'm doing 5 things at once, then I'm being more productive and I'm getting things done, in my mind. But that's not how writing works. And so you can't edit while you draft. Drafting and editing have to be separate. And that's an issue for me because prioritizing and multitasking and doing multiple things at once is part of, and being really organized is part of how I cope with that. So that was definitely one of my biggest struggles in getting a first draft written, for songs, or any book really, was that I had to separate the 2 processes in my mind. I had to like physically separate them and say, I give myself permission to suck at the first draft, and I give myself permission to just tell myself the story and to skip ahead if I need to skip ahead. And I had to get to a point where, because my son was 3 months old at that point, and he was going through like the 3-month sleep regression. And so he was up all night and I was up all night and I was like half delirious because I hadn't slept in weeks pretty much. And I had to sort of get there with my brain to be able to be like, you know what? Ain't nobody got time to try and edit while they draft. So that is a struggle that I have while writing. Number 8. Okay, now number 9. This is more of like just, I struggle with this as a human, but it's gonna affect my writing if I die from it eventually. And that is drinking enough water. So I realized the other day, actually, when I was talking to Jonathan, because I had a glass of wine when I got home. It's been a stressful week or so. Just at work, you just have bad days and bad weeks sometimes at work, and the trip coming up and the hip stuff and the baby stuff, and it was just all getting to me. So I got home from work and I said, I need a glass of wine after dinner. So I had a glass of wine and I was kind of feeling a little loopy, and that normally doesn't happen after one little puny glass of wine, And John was like, "Wow, babe, what's going on there?" And I was talking to him and I said, I don't think I've had a glass of water in like 6 days. And he was like, "What?" And I said, "Yeah, like just thinking about it. I've had tea, I've had coffee, lots of coffee, tons of coffee. Coffee is basically my blood type at this point. I've had some Sprite Zero, I've had some other things. I don't think I've had a glass of water in like 6 days." And he was like, "I'm going to need you to go get can't even talk. I'm going to need you to go get a glass of water and drink it right in front of me so that I don't have to worry about you dying of dehydration overnight." And I did. And so it made me realize that I need to be a better human, because I'm not going to be able to write the books if I'm dehydrated and dead because I've dehydrated because I just didn't drink water for like 6 days. So that's a struggle, keeping myself alive, and drinking enough water. We should all do that. So that was number 9. Now, the very last one is my 10th struggle, and it's a doozy. It's writer's block. So this one is number 10 because just like a couple of these other numbers, I feel like some of them sort of go together. But I definitely had like specific struggles with each one. My writer's block, I feel like, is sort of a combination of imposter syndrome and just other things going on in my head that made it hard for me to write. Also, I think I was trying to tell the wrong story. So I mentioned that I tried writing a couple of books and it just sort of didn't work out before songs, like on my own. And it wasn't that I don't think they were good ideas, but I think that I wasn't telling the right story. And I think that that was part of it, but I was blocked for a long time. I mean, I had this basically this book already outlined. All I had to do was put pen to page and put it on the paper. It had been outlined for more than a year. Fun fact, Songs actually is a young adult fantasy novel that I wrote that I'm going to be pitching to publishers here shortly. This trip to Vermont with a writing competition. But it started off as a science fiction novel set in space. And I realized the day before Nano started that I was taking the absolute wrong tack. That this wasn't supposed to be a novel set in space. It was supposed to be set in this fictitious medieval kingdom. And that these characters that I had had these, sci-fi backstories and these science fiction characters, that they really translated better in that world, and that their struggles translated better, and that I literally, the day before Nano, after doing all of these outlines and all this stuff and going, I've been saying for 3 years that I was going to write this book, and dang it, I'm going to write this book. And with a new baby. And the night before, I took a bath, and I get some of my best, most brilliant ideas. I call them bathtub moments in bathtub when I'm just trying to relax. And I was trying to relax, and I got the idea to just change the setting entirely from in space on a space station to this fictitious medieval kingdom. And I got out of the bath, in my pajamas and everything, and I went to go get in bed, and my husband said, "Oh, did you have a good bath?" And, yeah, whatever. And I said, "Yeah, I think Songs is going to be set in medieval times. Knights and princesses and dragons and stuff." And he was like, "What?" What did you do? But a light clicked on, and I finally realized the story that I needed to tell, and it just came out of me. And so I think that was part of it too, along with the Imposter Syndrome, along with the ADHD, along with, a lot of editing while drafting, and, just a lot of the other things that I said, I think contributed to number 10, which is why it's number 10, just because I don't think that by itself it would be a struggle. I think it was exacerbated by a lot of these other struggles. Because like I said, neuroses monster. That's me, your girl, Lauren. She's crazy. I don't know what to tell you. So those are the 10 things, top things, that I struggle with as a writer. Of course, I have a ton more things that I struggle with on a daily basis, but these are the ones that I thought about. I hope this video wasn't incredibly long. If you've made it to the end of the video, I'm incredibly impressed with you. Also, I really do want to sincerely thank A.S. Howell, Nicole McEwen, and Mike Frazee for tagging me. I mean, you guys thought of me, and that was actually really flattering, even though I kind of made a joke about it at the beginning. But it was really flattering. I obviously struggle a lot. So, again, I hope that none of you have the impression that any of this has been easy, or that I don't make just 1.5 million mistakes. But the beautiful part about writing, and the beautiful part about this community, and the beautiful part about, just all of this, is the fact that regardless of the struggle, I still wrote a book. And that's pretty dang cool. And if I can with all of these crazy things going on in my head, then you absolutely can and should. So yeah, if you get anything out of this video, just know that everyone struggles. Some people struggle a lot, some people don't struggle as much, but we all struggle, and we all have our own unique way of dealing with it. And yeah, let me know if you struggle with anything. By the way, you're all it. Anyone watching this video to the end, you're it. You are it. I spilled the beans, and now I want to hear all about yours. Yeah. It would be really cool if you joined the family and liked and subscribed so that you can see more of my crazy hot messness. Yeah. Me. Crazy hot mess. Yeah. So that's what I struggle with as a writer. I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a great night. Happy writing. Bye, guys.